everyone. So, I made a recording a couple of days ago about how I was going through a bit of a dark period, and I was sensing that the Divine Feminine collectively was going through a bit of a dark period. That's sort of an understatement. And this is going to continue happening through Scorpio season, and it's sort of venturing into your own shadow. Ugh, nobody likes doing that. But anyway, so I've come out of this now, and I just want to talk about the sort of expansion and the contraction that we feel during times of purging. So on your spiritual path, you'll notice that it's usually governed by astrology or full moons, things like that. You'll notice that at certain times you'll just wake up, or you'll just be walking through your day, and you will just get a darkness come over you, depression, anxiety, anything can come up, really, guilt from years ago that you thought you'd let go of, all sorts of issues, and it feels like, you know, it's coming right from inside your body and just coming out. So yeah, I just want to talk about the process of that and how it gets easier and it gets better. So when I first started waking up, I would probably go through a dark night of the soul, which was like a really depressive, dark period. I was probably in one for 2 years, probably. And I'd come out of it and I'd start, you know, connecting with nature and feeling like little fleeting moments of that bliss and that connection to myself and the universe. But I'd go straight back into the darkness, and again I'd be doing inner child work, or I'd be looking at my past lives and healing this and healing that, and going through shit relationships and falling out with people and all sorts of stuff going on. So this can go on for a really long time, sometimes years and years. But as you start getting higher and higher and closer into sort of 5D living and living from the heart and living from authenticity, these periods will get so much smaller, you know. So, you know, I had a dark period for about 3 days, and now I'm back into this lovely mood. So yeah, you will experience emotions that come up from nowhere. You might just wake up and feel like a piece of crap and start thinking about someone from your past, or start thinking about your childhood with your mum. Anything, it could be anything, and it's coming from nowhere. So this will be brought up for a reason. It's coming up to come up and out. So you'll start feeling a contraction, which is like you want to just stay in the house, you don't want to go to work, you want to stay in bed, you want to just cry and just, you know, sometimes this can be a creative period as well. So you can channel this pain into like poetry and art and stuff, anything like that. So you'll really go into a cocoon, and, you know, we would say this was the Hermit card. So you'll just feel like a contraction, like you don't want to go anywhere, you don't want to speak to anybody. You'll go into a really dark time where you're just really depressed and crying a lot and feeling lots of other people's emotions and not wanting to be around other people. So you need to just let this flow. Do meditation, do your healing, contact a life coach that can coach you through it, get a regression, work with an inner child healing specialist. Whatever's coming up, do the work and cry and purge and get it all out, and go and sit next to the sea or in a field and just stare out at nature and try and just get all that darkness out of you. But what will start happening is, as soon as all this is sort of being released, with this energy and trapped emotions being released, you'll start feeling an expansion, and that feels so good. Okay, so then you'll start feeling connection to nature. You'll start noticing signs, synchronicities. You'll start noticing certain birds. You'll start looking at children and being like, oh, so beautiful. And you know, looking at the trees and thinking, wow, and you'll start expanding into feeling like you're this bigger, blissful being, okay? And, you know, it took me a few years to get to this point first time, this feeling of connection and bliss, you know, what you would call feelings of enlightenment or whatever. You know, and up to this point you might be working through addictions and all sorts of things like that, all sorts of darkness coming up, things from your past, things from your childhood if you've not had a particularly good childhood. So all of this is coming up and out to be released, because you can't reach those higher frequencies of connection and awakening if this darkness is keeping you down and heavy. So yes, it's just always remember it as an expansion and a contraction, sorry. So when you start feeling these emotions come up, go into your little hidey hole, you know, have a little place, where's your little special place, or something that you do, you know, and use that contraction, okay? Go within. And then when the expansion starts coming, get out into nature, do things, create, help other people, you know. You can't always help others if you're a light worker when you're in the contraction, but you can when you're in the expansion, and you're going to get so much information and so much coming to you in that expansive period, and that expansive period will last a long time. I mean, I actually believe that the expansion eventually will last sort of forever. So yeah, you'll start to feel blissful and connected, you know, a hell of a lot of the time. Most of the time. It's only when there'll be like a full moon or a magnetic storm coming from the sun, you know, they affect us quite a bit as well. It might be something to look into for you there. Yeah, so I just wanted to let you know about the contraction and the expansion, and that it's a process that's like this. It keeps coming, keeps going, keeps coming, keeps going, keeps coming, and it'll get shorter and shorter. So this will only last, sometimes for me now, this darkness, it only lasts like half an hour, and I'm like, oh, let's work through this horrible feeling. What's this horrible feeling about? Oh. And then I get through it, and then boom, I'm back again into the happy place. So yeah, anyone that's going through like a dark night of the soul or whatever, I just want to let you know that it does decrease in time, and as your vibration raises, you'll just be up here more, and the lower depths, they won't affect you as much. And toxic situations, toxic environments, they won't sort of affect you as much. So yeah, that's about it really. Just wanted to talk about that and let you know that it gets shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter, and the dark periods do get smaller, and it is worth just keep working through it and keep going. It's I mean, all of this sounds crazy, doesn't it? But it's real. You know, plenty of us living through it at the moment. So yeah, and you know, if you're one of the first ones to sort of go through all this, then you're here to sort of help and support others. You will get people asking you lots of questions. So yeah, all the best with your dark times. I hope you're coming out of them into the expansion again. It's kind of like an acceptance that you don't have any control over it as well. That you need to just let it flow and flow with it, and that you might get really annoyed, like, oh, why am I in this dark period again? What's this coming up again now? All these emotions and darkness coming up. You know, you might get annoyed, but you don't have any control over it. So just flow with it and let it happen, okay? Just let it go, let it come out. It's not going to stay forever. And you know, once you've healed all of these trapped emotions and old pain and wounds, once you've healed them, they're gone. So there is an end, you know, this does end. Yeah, once you've healed, you're healed. Hopefully. Anyway, yeah, all the best with it and good luck.